Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a VOD review submitted by Kyoshi, who is an Iron 3 player, and that is going to be good for all of you who are in a similar rank, or those of you who want to perfect your game and iron out mistakes. So let's get started. Okay. Right away, I see a potential issue here with this move, so I like the idea. I like the idea a lot, but trying to pick it apart here. This can be a good idea in many scenarios, doing this particular ability towards the window on Haven. The problem is I don't see anyone to capitalize on it. As you can see, the Sage is way over here. Obviously, Breach himself is not going to be capitalizing on this particular situation. And so it doesn't seem like this ability is going to accomplish anything. Now, granted, this is Iron 3, and just using your abilities is a huge leg up on the competition. But using your abilities when there's no follow-up or there's no gain to be had from them might just be a waste of an ability that you could have used elsewhere. And so this could be a really good idea. Once again, this is round 4, so there might have been a previous round that Kyoshi is adapting to. For example, if they had an opposing Breach that likes to flash through window here, and then they had a strong B hit that was causing problems, using this ability to separate the flash from the push and make that utility usage a bit disjointed for the opponents, that would be an awesome use of this ability and a great idea. But as it stands now, this might be something that Kyoshi would want to adjust so that they could make sure to capitalize on it. Let's move right ahead with this VOD review. Okay, smoke comes down on C. Kyoshi does have an AFK teammate, so that's always nice. That's why there's not quite as much control on the C area. But the wall comes through. Now, this move I'm not a huge fan of. Moving out through the smoke here. It didn't hurt Kyoshi in this particular instance, but do you see why that could be a very dangerous scenario? What if the Omen was already looking at them? That would have been not good, and there's just no reason to walk out of this smoke because you simply don't have the advantage when you walk out here. Now, once again, this did work out, but this is the sort of thing that might be like a 10% mistake that's super common in Iron, where most of the time you're fine, but maybe 10% of the time, or even 5% of the time, you just get punished for this. But if you have like 6 or 7 of these, they add up really quickly. And so even if you have good aim, you're going to be in a much lower rank than you otherwise could be, simply because you have these errors. So there's really no reason to walk out of the smoke, simply because it would be a positional disadvantage. So let's see what happens. Alright, I like this crosshair placement. That's something that I haven't mentioned yet. The crosshair placement is quite good. And it's going to be a headshot. Excellent job. Good spray through smoke. Great tracing. And yeah, great flick as well. Going to be finding the 3K here. I like it. Reloading and falling back. A lot of Iron players would usually like to move forward with a reload, but I like falling back with a reload. Definitely a smart play and an excellent retake with excellent aim by Kyoshi. And so what we're seeing here is a player who clearly has good aim, and that is usually disproportionately good in bronze, getting out of Iron and bronze. So there's probably a couple of very simple mistakes that could be adjusted to make Kyoshi a much higher rank. But we'll see. We'll see what we get with the rest of this VOD. So setting up, they might do the same thing again, like with the... This is a completely pointless aftershock at this point. The E ability for Breach. Now, I like this too. Typing, if you don't have a mic, typing is amazing for callouts. So much better than just being completely silent. Now, there's contact A. Kyoshi makes the rotate. It's an even numbers advantage, unfortunately, because the Omen isn't here. And this is fine. I don't know if walking is really necessary here, simply because the wall is there. And this might have just been a loss of time. I'm also not sure about tracing the wall, but that's really more of a nitpicky thing. This is an interesting ult here. Bit of an exposed position. Ultimately, the plant does go down. That's a pretty... It's a mediocre ult. It's not a bad idea. Now, okay, not checking corners. You gotta check corners, guys. Like, that's one of the things that that's more than a 10%. That's like a 30% mistake sometimes, depending on your rank. So, going in... People always seem surprised when I say check literally every corner. But checking corners is not that hard, and it has such a huge impact on the game that you just need to do it. You need to make sure to check every single corner, almost every time. You know, it's situational, so making broad rules like that isn't always a good idea, but I would say as a general rule, check every single corner unless you have a really good reason not to. So I do like this active defense here, is what this is called when you're peeking. Probably split them up a little bit more because you're liable to get... It's a little bit less good when you're just jiggle. But in general, that's a really good idea. And I'm very impressed with this player's ability to just clear out angles really quickly, make quick peeks. Excellent crosshair placement still. Now there's contact in garage, distance isn't quite good. And okay, let's watch that one more time. So I like that. That was a pretty good ability usage there. And I like this. They do have to split up to control the sites. I'm not sure why Rand is rotating around. But the spacing so far is quite good. Now there's contact in garage. Kyoshi starts moving over there. And it's this walking versus running that's really getting me. I think that running would be okay in this situation because there's already a firefight. First off, it should mask that sound pretty well, but second off, getting that trade should be a top priority here. And so there's just this window of timing that's being lost by walking and not immediately going for that trade. So, okay. Kyoshi knows where they are. I like this peek here. Crosshair's a little bit off, but she does try to snap in, and it just doesn't quite connect. She gets double peeked. Like, this isn't a fair situation. It's going to happen occasionally. I think it was played pretty well, but if you could just make that adjustment to trying to trade quickly and then just get out, that would have been a good way to avoid the situation. But these kind of things are going to happen. This is really more a good play on the opponent's part rather than some huge mistake by Kyoshi.
One enemy remaining.
Alright, we're going to fast forward to where Kyoshi comes back into this. Pretty good survivability, by the way, that we haven't even seen Kyoshi die yet, really. So once again, playing C. Now there's a lot of space being grabbed by Kyoshi's team. It's going to be A. Good rotations. They're just closing the net on the defense. Like, this is really textbook. This is really good. Blocking them off, that's also really good. Omen's just waiting. Omen's not really pushing in just yet. It's always good as well. Now this ult, everyone's grouped up on each other. That's not good. Standing in the ult, also not good. So that went downhill really quickly, but ults are going to happen. I would say spread out a little bit more. And when there's an ult, so when there's a Sova ult, this is just a really small tip. But when there's a Sova ult, you want to be looking where the Sova is shooting. You want to pull out your knife so you can move more quickly so you don't have to get hit by these. And if the thing's on you, obviously you want to try to move and like out-predict that ult rather than standing in it and hoping it doesn't hit you. This might have just been a little bit of delayed reaction, or Kyoshi might have felt trapped or been surprised by it. But typically that's how you want to react to Sova ults. Unless you're being shot at, in which case, yes, you do want your weapon out. But in this safe situation, you definitely want your knife out. Kyoshi's potentially anticipating a flank. That's always smart. There's been no real cue for it, but the timing would work out in such a way that a flank was possible, so that's a good check. Once again, crosshair placement, on point, marking, very good without... If you don't have a mic, you should be marking, you should be typing in chat. Now, this ability usage, another very common thing in Iron and Bronze, Iron specifically, just making using util in the open is super common. And it's just unnecessary because you could go behind the box and have more or less the same effect and not get shot at. But in terms of recovery, this was an excellent recovery. Did manage to pick up the frag anyways. The Sage came in as a saving grace. And they do clean up the round, so that's good. But it's very important to use utility from behind cover. Because if that played out just a little bit differently, they could have easily lost the round to that, or Kyoshi would have at least died to that. Alright, they're changing up the positioning a little bit. Now, communication. I think communication is really important if you're going to be switching up positioning. Make sure you fill out the map the way that you want it to.
Keep up.
Different... Alright, so it's called a fault line. The fault line ability being used, I think called an aftershock. That, once again, not a great aftershock. I get the idea. Once again, it's a good idea, but it's just not actually going to reach them. It's kind of a wild swing. But from that distance, it's probably worth it just because you're going to get that recharge pretty quickly. Now, one of the things that I haven't been seeing Kyoshi do too much is use the flashes. The flashes are super powerful. And maybe there hasn't been really like a necessity for them. Like it hasn't been absolutely essential to win rounds. But at the same time, it could make those frags a lot cleaner. And if the opponents were just a little bit better, they might be winning a bit more. The flashes help you secure those frags. Now, this is a pretty good flank. I like the acceleration. I like the headshot. A little bit low crosshair placement, but that's totally fine. Now, the other thing is I don't think there was counter strafing. Counter strafing would have made that a little bit quicker. Let me just look at the movement again. Okay, so this I'm not too big a fan of. The way angles work, right? Let's say that Kyoshi is this distance, like hugging the wall. Even closer perhaps. They're hugging the wall. Let me find that particular point again. Okay, so they're pretty close to the wall here, right? Like there is not that much distance between them and the wall. If you think about the way angles work, right? Let's say that we had Kyoshi over here, clearing this angle. If they're super close to that angle, they're just gonna see less. So the person who's standing farther away from that same angle is gonna be able to see their opponent first. Whoever's standing the farthest back is gonna see their opponent first. Most of the time, depending on the angle, but most of the time, the person who's standing farther back. And so hugging the wall like this doesn't seem to provide any value that you could get. At the same time, standing farther back would have given a little bit more value. And I feel like this peak is too close with too little information. There's definitely a dangerous part here. But at the same time, it is a flank with good acceleration, good headshots, so I like the play overall. And so that's a good cover on the defuse.
One enemy remaining.
Kyoshi got over there as quickly as was reasonable. Defuse went down. Good round. Good cleanup. Let's fast forward just a bit. Okay. Kyoshi's going to be picking up the operator here, apparently.
Cover going out.
There's no real reason to walk there, but that's really, I guess, a stylistic choice. If you're going to be looking for an opening op pick, though, you do want to run out and try to get there first, because that's very important for these opening op shots. I'm not too sure about pushing with the op here. Okay, so good decision, rotating around, taking the safe route, because if you try to go for the flank there, you're putting yourself in a really vulnerable spot as an opper specifically. I think saving here would be the play as well, but you can absolutely set up the play. You can try to set up some sort of win here. With that pick, definitely possible, especially with the spike down. One more pick and they're right back in this. Maybe not even one more, maybe they're already right back in it. It's hard to see depending on what the opponents use for positioning. Awesome pick. 1v2 clutch here for Kyoshi potentially. Knows there's one towards the garage area. Knows there's one site. This rapid double scoping I'm not a big fan of, but I like switching to the Phantom. Many people make the egotistical choice of just staying with the op for no reason. Good spot. Okay. So that's something we have to break down. So, like I said, good choice moving for the Phantom here. Now, this particular play, Kyoshi saw the Sage right there. Crosshair's a little bit off. Crosshair's on the wall, but moving it over would have been obviously a good play, but you really don't need me to tell you that. the key here is to be relaxed. Kyoshi kind of rushes those shots. There's no reason to spray at that distance, really, with that little thin of a target. The left-right inaccuracy is going to be a problem, certainly, especially because it's not a clear view on the head. Most of what you saw was like exposed body there. So going for tap fire shots at the head if you wanted to would probably be ideal. And just taking a couple seconds more, because you had that advantage. You spotted them out earlier than when you saw them earlier than this fight. You knew where they were. You had the information. You had the tempo advantage. And this, on top of that positional advantage, you had a really big positional advantage. And so just taking your time would have made this a very easy frag and potentially an easy round win, depending on the solo. So certainly a better position, but generally good decision making this round. Even if it didn't quite work out, sometimes that's going to happen. This is an aftershock that could be capitalized on. So if the aftershock is put here right at the beginning, Omen could have peeked and capitalized on that aftershock fault line. Could have capitalized on that fault line for some picks, so I would have liked to see that attempted, but nonetheless, once again, it is Iron 3, so ability usage is always something that I like to see. And once again, good positioning by the defense. They're taking space where the opponents are giving them space. I don't know about that push, but pretty good. Kyoshi's sitting on the back line here, though. So this could be a good position depending on the opponents, but since they've been giving them so much space, Kyoshi's probably better off just going with the Omen and trading them, even if the Omen doesn't push through that smoke and they just chill out and wait, because this long sitting in long really doesn't do anything. It doesn't get any map control. It doesn't hold anything really down unless the Omen dies and you have that fallback. So that depends on how you want to play it, but I think the best move in that situation would be to trade Omen. Now the Omen does die, so this becomes a relevant position, certainly. And I think the optimal play, if Omen was like with them as a team, they would just both wait. I don't think that push was really necessary, especially since they just did it. But that's the situation that Kyoshi has to deal with here. So I don't like this particular piece right here. I think not checking corners is going to continue to be a theme because it's typically a playstyle type thing. And it's something that when people tend to either check corners or they don't check corners. There's not a whole lot of people who sometimes check corners, like, you know, 50-50 type thing. Checking corners is going to be a relatively easy change to make, very small change, but at the same time has massive results. Now I don't really know what to say about that fight, just a little bit of missed aim, like it just happens, I guess. Let me see if I can see any error. Yeah, just rushing shots again, really overreacting. This is something that Iron players will do a lot. They'll see the player move a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and they just completely panic and start like trying to really outpredict the opponent. So right here, could have taken a lot more time to line up that shot. Didn't have to flick to the right. The Sage wasn't really that far over on the right, but it worked out, especially because the Sage was just running and gunning. So I like this positioning too. Cross replacement strikes me being just a little bit high right now, but that's not too big of a deal. Good ability usage to clear out the corner. I like that. You're not going to use Aftershock for anything else. That's a pretty good use, just clearing out those corners. Might have been a better use to save it and clear the double, but that was another double, so really up to you. Now, they have a retake on B, and Reach knows roughly where both players are. Teammates playing together, that's always good. Now, that's something that I would say, again, is a bit of an issue, so let's back it up a bit. When they're coming through here, it's Raze and Breach going for the retake, and they have a local 2v1 advantage on that site because the Sova's so far away getting that pick in window. Now this is too much distance right here, especially at this point. Like, that's pretty good. But after this point, Kyoshi should be with the Raze because there's just too much space. Maybe 3 or 4 steps too much space for her to trade if there was an immediate frag. And there might not be a lot of immediate frags in bronze. Iron, but this is just too far. They need to be closer to trade. They need to be closer to get the double peak, and then they can isolate the 2v1, which they're going to do anyways, and hopefully win the round. Now, Sova does have an ult, so
One enemy remaining.
I'm curious to see how this particular round ends. It's a good flash. It's a good flash. Another one would be nice, yeah. I was thinking a little bit deeper, but oh, okay. Standing in the ult once again, not a good plan. But it looks like it is going to work out for them here, especially because the Sova's just shooting at nothing. Nice. Good reset. I like it. The initial spray, a little bit rush shots again, but I like the follow-up. And throughout this too, it seems like Kyoshi has pretty good economic management. I think almost every round we've seen them with a weapon in their hands of some kind. Always a Vandal, always an op type thing. So that's always nice. Good to see. But it might just be because of the way that they're winning rounds and everything, but I like it. I like what I see with the economy. Alright. Although I guess there might not have been drops, but I wasn't really paying attention to that. Once again, same fault line again. Literally Sage was walled off there, so no one could possibly have capitalized on that. Even if they did do a rush, disconnecting a flash would have done nothing at all because there was no one to flash. Might have wasted another flash, but it really wouldn't have accomplished much. So she saw something. Oh, great frag on the Sova. Happy about that. Sometimes that happens. I think aftershock kills are always funny. Good call out. I like typing. Okay, that's weird. How did Jet get there? Did her teammate abandon her? Jet's over there. I don't know how this works out. And they had vision on the wall, so it doesn't seem like someone jumped over it.
You will not kill.
This is where it happens, right? Yeah, okay, so Jet must have jumped over the wall. I don't think there's really anything Kyoshi could have done about that, like, except for hearing it. That was a pretty random and stealthy frag, and it looked a lot like they should have easily had control of this whole area. There's literally 3 people in that circle right now from the team, so I'm not sure what to really say about that. But sometimes stuff like that happens. There's not always something you can do to fix it on the spot. Last round before the swap. Once again, Kyoshi with a weapon here. That's always nice. Okay. This aftershock, at this point, again, nothing to capitalize.
Yeah, go.
I think the positioning is a little bit questionable. Everyone's kind of close together. There's not a whole lot of information that would dictate why they would be so close together. Maybe someone gave a call and I just didn't understand it because I don't speak this particular language, but... Good aftershock. Could have been thrown without running through that smoke. That was really... So, for Kyoshi, once again, it only really seems like there's a couple key problems, you know, the 10% problem type thing, that are keeping her back. So, running through this with your ability out is just not a good plan. You can do it through the wall if you have good spatial awareness and good map knowledge, and there's really just no point. Like, you can run out, exactly, like, the worst case scenario, this is the 10%, where someone's just looking at it with a weapon out, they're gonna get you. They should get you every time, unless they're really bad. So, I like the idea with the aftershock, but shoot it from through the smoke. You don't need to run through the smoke to do that. And Kyoshi's back in, and that's nice. They do save her as well. That's good. That's a good rotate. I like the flash as well. Now peeking out a little bit too wide there. That to me seems like it's just going to be a perpetual issue. Once again, there's that 10% problem. Sometimes they're just going to catch you out when you do that because it just took too long. You can counter strafe out and certainly use an ability, and if you think the risk is low enough for that, then you can go ahead and do that. But staying out in the open, not a good plan. So it's the retake here. There's consistently someone way far back from the attackers. The double take, I like it. Gets the frag, that's good. Tap Fires just doesn't get the pick. That might have been a little bit... It struck me as being just a little bit too fast for the weapon to reset. But all in all, not bad. Yeah, because the crosshair was on him, but the taps were just going over the head, so... The crosshair is fine, but the bullets themselves, you can see the tracer right there, right above the Reyna's head. So wait just a couple seconds more, not a couple seconds more, a couple milliseconds more, and you should be fine with the taps. The tap should have landed with just a little bit more delay. So let's fast forward up till second half. We got the pistol round here. Our hero doing absolutely spectacular so far. A couple minor things that are impacting every round, but not even hard to fix those. Curious to see how they play attack though. Okay, that's a good flash. I mean, it's a good flash for getting people off that angle, capitalizing on it. I don't know how often... It's such an easily fallbackable angle that I'm not sure how often I've seen flashes get kills there, unless they're holding like really far out in the open. But I like the push. They meet absolutely no resistance, which is very strange. I'm not sure why defense did absolutely nothing to stop them from taking an entire site, but now they're playing in the smoke. So this seems like wandering. I'm not really sure what Kyoshi's doing or what they're aiming at. Oh, if they think there's one short. Okay, that makes sense. Definitely good to keep an eye on short there. But it just feels like this position could be better. So standing out in the middle of the open here, see there's Omen literally right there, just happened to work out like that. Someone could peek from here, someone could peek from short as well, and you're just exposed to more angles. Why not just back into the corner and just watch one angle? Why expose yourself to heaven when you don't have to is basically what I'm asking here. But generally, good ideas. Like the idea. This flash here, definitely a powerful flash. I'm not sure about that particular flash, but that was good. And definitely good headshots. Kyoshi consistently has excellent follow-ups, excellent reactions, even when things don't go perfectly the first time. And that's not, as far as I can tell, that's not really something that can be taught. You can certainly learn that if you don't already have it, but even with a strong conceptual understanding of how to do that, some people just have better instincts for it, in my experience, than others. Definitely a good talent to have as well.
Right there. Cover going out. Shadows traveling.
Alright, I'm not too sure this play makes sense. So, Kyoshi's holding for a push here. I don't think they've seen evidence of pushes being a likely problem. I do appreciate they don't have a sentinel like KJ or Cypher to hold the flank. But at the same time, you have a lot of these players in ranks like this, like Iron, who they do get a lot of frags. They're pretty good players, certainly, and Kyoshi is obviously a pretty good player. But at the same time, they spend a lot of time not doing anything. You need to get, if you want to win rounds, you need to get impact frags that make a difference. And the flank frag can absolutely do that, but this particular situation, holding for a flank doesn't seem like it's going to do a whole lot. And you can certainly be there for the follow-up and have a round impact, but especially for solo queuing, you want to be able to get those high impact frags. And you want to be putting yourself in situations to get frags. This right here doesn't strike me as being either one of those, but seeing as it's a VOD review, I'm sure someone will pop around the corner right after I said that. So we'll see. Now the spike is pretty isolated. I'm not sure how I feel about this positioning. And I think this time, they spent a lot of time doing nothing all over here. And that's a situation where the opponents could be taking a lot of space, making their way up to C, making their way up through B, kind of closing the net around them. So this is like a lot of wasted time being spent around A that could be better spent somewhere else and could be used by the defense to make a play or find some sort of advantage or opening. That's just unnecessary. unnecessary to give the defense that chance. Now, once again, love the crosshair placement. Crosshair placement's impressive. Clearing that corner, very good. I like to see it. Now, what do you do about this wall? There's a pick towards B and a good trade. Kyoshi seems to think that they're going to move over there. Changes their mind. That flash might have been for the team. That's good. It's good to flash teammates in. And then they have A. So, yeah, pretty good take. Good crosshair placement. Okay, that is unforgivable. That's unforgivable. Okay, so this right here, holding that angle, I like that. Good crosshair placement. This, looking away from the angle. I know that they have, so this is not, okay, this isn't unforgivable. Because they do have a player taking a fight there. So they know there's probably not someone in that doorway. But it's just such an unnecessary risk. Just back up a couple paces and then focus on this. There's no reason to expose yourself to this angle when you don't have to. When it's just so easy to move back. Or move forward. Move forward as well. Whatever you have to do, but don't be exposing yourself to multiple angles. In this scenario, though, not at all unforgivable. Not a bad choice. And if it's a risk where you understand the consequences, the potential consequences, then you can go for it. But it's just a bit unnecessary. And certainly standing there now, continuing to stand there, that's really just not a good idea. Once Raze has already given up that position and fallen back. So I do like how they do relocate a little bit. But I'm just not a big fan of this position. I like that. That is interesting. I don't see a whole lot of that in my games, but that might have gotten a kill, or at least put pressure on them. Might have been better also just save it until someone was peeking and then do it straight up.
One enemy remaining.
This is just something that I've noticed in general. This dart comes through. It's not the best example that I've seen so far, but I'm just going to point it out now. So the dart comes through. And Kyoshi just seems so static when I'm watching her gameplay. It's not really something that I can easily describe, but she doesn't, Kyoshi is sort of static, not moving a lot, not reacting very quickly to things that aren't opposing players. So think about like the Sova ult. It's just not a good idea because you want to move out of the way of things that are actually like, you know, potential obstacles or potential hurdles or potential threats. Like, this right here is not a good situation to be in because she wants to shoot the dart. But at the same time, Sova is over here. The dart's over here. And their crosshair is, like, not really on either one. And Sova's really the main threat here. Like, between the shooting the dart and shooting Sova, shoot Sova. Or better yet, in a situation where you have to choose between the two, where there's two things you need to focus on, just leave. Why stay there? Why put yourself in a bad position when you're up 2 players? When you could just take the same fight later, more or less, but in a better position where you're not under pressure from the shock dart and your crosshair is just on point. So when you're in situations where there's a threat coming at you, move out of the way, presumably.
One enemy remaining.
I do like the follow-up. Once again, always great follow-ups from Kyoshi here. Turning all your teammates down. I also like that. Don't like just leave them on the default if they're annoying. Like, if they're really loud, turn them down. It's gonna help you focus a lot more on the actual game itself because it's distracting. If it's distracting you and it's impacting your performance, and you want to have good performance, then fix it. This is good. I didn't see if they're gonna clear the corner, but it's good that Kyoshi did anyways, just to make sure. They should be clearing the back left every single time and pulling out a building in the open again. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I thought we'd see, we're seeing a lot of these same themes, these same mistakes, just impacting over and over again, 10% each one maybe. Just collectively being a huge problem for Kyoshi, even though Kyoshi is a very talented player, clearly. Mechanically quite good, follow-ups are excellent. Positioning is not always perfect, but it's reasonably good. Crosshair placement is, I would almost say, excellent. For Iron 3, excellent crosshair placement. Most people in this rank that I see are just, you know, staring at the ground. So that's great to see. I'm not sure about this buy. I feel like maybe if the team's buying, you should be buying with them. So the way this works, guys, this is something that I see seems to be a little bit up for grabs. If you have a choice between buying this round and ecoing next round, or ecoing this round and buying next round, pick buying this round, because if you win the round off of the buy, then you can buy next round too. But for the other situation, if you're going to eco one round no matter what, and then you're going to buy, right? And so I guess if you win the eco, you might be in a better position, but there's no point in doing that because the game is done in rounds, and you want to have the best chance of winning the most rounds. At the end of the day, who has the most money matters not at all. What you need is have the most rounds. That's just a common misconception that I run into quite a bit. But the whole team should be buying here. There's no reason for Kyoshi to have a sheriff. Alright, I like the fault line. That was a good idea, especially if there's an opera there. You definitely want to force them off that angle. Moving up here with the team, also very good. I like the spacing a little bit better this time as well. Good fault line. Good flash. It's going to push them off. Yeah, just good stuff. Excellent control. I like the spacing from the team as well. This is very well done. Okay. So I like the idea here. Now, one of the things that Kyoshi seems to understand that a lot of people don't is when you're in a situation like this, where you're down a player in after plant, and you want to not be down a player. You want to get that advantage back. This team has the advantage. If they push in, they can easily overwhelm you and like kind of cut in from all sides. On this particular situation, however, the Omen's over here, but usually teams will try to cut in from all sides. They'll put you in this sort of almost geometrical disadvantage. The way the shapes work out, you're at a huge disadvantage because you're being concaved and encircled. You know, if you think about two opposing armies, who is in the better position? The army that is circling an opposing army, or the army that's trapped in the middle? Obviously, the army that's circling is better off, and making sure you don't have that circle means that you sometimes need to take fights. In this particular situation, since the Omen is so far out here, I don't know if taking fights is really necessary. But I like the idea, certainly, from Kyoshi. That's just something to think about, though. Don't think I can say whether what Kyoshi did here is right or wrong, but it's just something to think about, the risk-reward that you want, the type of gameplay that you want here. Does miss the shot, but it was close. I like this. This right here, that's a good ability usage. Because what that's going to do, they saw the Sova using utility here to set this up. A push is going to be very close to inbound, like just the timing, the numbers, things like that. So this particular ability to delay it a little bit, especially to get that reload off if they go for it, that's huge. Now jumping out, I like that play by the Rays. Good delay of time, and that ability, the fault line, that's what really created the distance and the time to just absolutely make sure that you secure that round and just take it. It was a very well done fault line.
Super easy to pick off.
Spike here.
So we're moving into the next round here. Kyoshi switching over. Kyoshi switching over to the Phantom here. Excuse me. Like this Jiggle Peek. Like pretty good counter strafing to me as well. We haven't seen that much counter strafing out of Kyoshi to my knowledge at this point. But it can be hard to tell without the dynamic crosshair. This just feels like a really standard round. They're kind of cutting through the opposing team like butter, which is always nice. I don't know what that was supposed to do, but
Right there.
style points, I guess. Okay, so this is a common error by a lot of players who understand the concept of crosshair placement really well, but maybe don't understand the finer detail. So the problem with holding an angle like this super close, you can see like it's basically right on top of the wall. It's hugging the wall. It's not in the wall, so that's very good, but it's hugging the wall. The problem is that your reaction time is typically not that fast. That would be an incredible reaction time. So typically, instead of holding the angle right here, you would actually want to hold the angle a little bit farther out, like maybe right here. And what that's going to do is allow you to react to players who come running out. Your reaction time will match players who are swinging you and who are running out, and you can move your crosshair less to get the frag. Because a lot of people who do this, they have good crosshair placement, and then they have to flick constantly to their left to be able to land the shot. And if you can avoid that, you don't really want to do that. So let's move on with the round here. And for Iron 3, this is like a minor detail. The fact that Kyoshi's even looking at head height is just very impressive. And it's very good for this rank. Clearing this corner. Good. Oh. I mean, there really shouldn't have been anyone there in that corner, but just clearing it because is always nice.
One enemy remaining.
Just on the off chance that someone was sitting there. You know, it doesn't hurt. Sort of similar to that positioning. Don't expose yourself to 2 angles because it doesn't help you and it might hurt you.
It's mine. There, and I will kill to defend it.
Or at least don't expose yourself to 2 angles for no reason. Right, moving into another round. Like the crosshair placement, covering for the teammate who's clearing the angle. Very, very important. Flashing teammates in. Very, very important. Very good. Omen's back sight, but now they have to recover that spike. Taking this fight towards the window is pretty good. I like it. Feels like the shots were a little bit rushed, more like quick tapping, but in general, the fight itself wasn't a bad idea. Just increase the time between those shots. Relax a little bit more before you take that first shot, and you might have been able to secure that frag. Great shot. Excellent. Basically exactly what I said. Just did it immediately. Oh, amazing. Alright, that's a good pick as well. Kyoshi taking advantage of the Sage, looking at the ground for no apparent reason. Now we're in a 1v2, and I'm curious to see how they're going to play this. That's a good... I don't know about holding the ult there, and I don't know about walk peeking. So, I do like that it doesn't make noise, but you can actually run short distances to... and you still won't make noise. Now that's a huge ult. That's really strange, the one that someone just hopped up on the box. Not sure I've seen that before, but now they're just playing the waiting game. They have a flash. Okay, so that peak, they have 2 flashes. They can flash through this wall right here. Probably no one in Iron 3 is going to look away from that flash in time. And you can make it a free kill. And that's what I'm saying is these flashes really come in handy. Even though Kyoshi clearly has good mechanics, that flash could secure the round, could make the frag so much easier for them so that they don't have to risk these rounds and just take minimal unnecessary risks, make the frag super easy, take the round, but we'll see whether, and they do win it anyways, so that's always fantastic. But that's just a small detail that could make for a lot more of these rounds being won.
Match point.
And now they're on match point, so we'll see. Some people get a little bit wonky. Part of the reason that they're in Iron might be because, yes, they're a good player. Yes, they have good mechanics. Yes, they have good game sense. But at the same time, they might panic a little bit when they're under pressure. The perceived pressure from almost winning tends to be a problem. But we'll see how they react, yes, in this round to come. I like the communication too. If that's not an insult, I can't tell.
Enemy spotted C.
Here.
Yeah, look at that again. But I like breaking the wall. A lot of teams will rotate off without breaking the wall, and that just gives, if the defense don't have to worry about one of the sites because it's walled off and there's no way someone could get in, then they can put more people over here where you're actually attacking, and that's not good. So even if you're rotating, you should usually break the wall. Good follow-up. Yeah, got it. There we go. Sometimes effort is all that matters, guys, and Kyoshi's putting in that effort. So I think a flash here would be huge. Flash, like maybe a flash going through this wall right here, and a flash going through this right here. Like that could make all the difference, but instead we're gonna have Kyoshi taking aim duels, which is not a terrible idea because it's been working out so well. Now they do have that Sova ult again being a problem. Sova should have hit those shots, and they go for the rotation. Now I think in this situation you actually break your own Sage wall to make sure that there's still a threat from C long, but that's just another detail that can really help you in creating that atmosphere of pressure, because there's no pressure at all coming from C with that wall being in the way. That's a good flash. I'm not sure it's necessary with the way timing works out, but certainly a good precaution. Yeah, that flash can't really do anything. That would be really hard to capitalize on. It seems like a lot of wasted utility.
Right there. Sova's dead.
One enemy remaining.
I'm not sure how her teammates didn't cover her there. I feel like it should have been a little bit easier, a little bit easier for the teammates to cover. But especially if she's watching CT all by herself, like why would these guys not be covering? Okay, and you know what? They clean up the round. That's all that matters. Easy win for Kyoshi, our hero. So,
all right. So here's the deal. Kyoshi, you're clearly a talented player. You have impressive mechanics, great crosshair placement for Iron. I like your follow-ups, they are quite good. I really like that you don't have a mic and you communicate anyways. A lot of players undervalue communication because they don't see the physical effects, but it has a huge implicit impact. Using the ping and the chat system to help you win is huge. Now a couple things. First of all, doing nothing. Kyoshi, you seem like a calm player that's very promising, but you typically want to react to things that might be a problem in Valorant, like Sova ults, so that you can avoid them if possible. Besides this, there was a substantial period of time where you weren't really doing anything. Maybe you were holding a useless angle, or not keeping distance to trade, or using an ability you couldn't capitalize on, or something like that. Especially for a player like you who is mechanically talented, increasing round impact and value can be as simple as participating more actively. Secondly, 10% mistakes. There were a few habits that kept popping up, such as not checking corners, tapping a little bit too fast, peeking with utility, or exposure to two angles. While you didn't always get eliminated for them, there was consistent potential for opponents to capitalize on these reoccurring mistakes. Most importantly, these made up a significant amount of the times you were eliminated. Cutting these out would also greatly increase your round impact and value, as you would be able to convert being eliminated into eliminations and advantages. So here's my list of places to start. Number 1, I'd say hop into the range, figure out how fast you can tap while allowing the reset, and drill that into muscle memory so you don't even have to think about it. I had the same exact problem as you, and anytime that this might pop up again, I just jump into the range and redo muscle memory. Number 2, go into free-for-all and practice clearing every single corner. Don't worry about KDR or anything like that. Number 3, take some comps or unrateds to figure out the trade distance. Start using that to your advantage. Kyoshi, thank you so much for sending in your VOD for review. I had an absolute blast looking it over. And for those of you who aren't Kyoshi, I hope you also got some value out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a lovely day.